Spotify, $1 billion podcast bet turns into a serial dilemma. This is a Wall Street Journal story. So they invested, page 20, they invested $1 billion in podcasting, including high-profile deals with figures like Kim Kardashian, Obama's Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle, has not resulted in profitability for most of its shows. The company lost $565 million in the first half of 2023, despite generating $6.2 billion in revenue, while the U.S. podcasting industry is growing with expected revenue of $2.3 billion in 2023. Spotify's substantial investment in the medium haven't translated into profitability. The company faced increased competition, and exclusive podcasts didn't significantly draw new subscribers away from rivals. To meet its profitability goal by 2024, Spotify has taken measures such as laying off 200 employees, raising subscription prices, and sharing revenue risk with talent. This is one thing I will tell you. Just because you're famous in one area doesn't mean your podcast is going to be great. Just because you were the greatest in another space, you may be very boring and you don't know how to valuetain people. Obama and, Bruce Springsteen's podcast after a year being canceled, it was boring. People are like, what am I going to... By the way, most people didn't even know Kardashian had a
I still don't.
a podcast on Spotify.
I don't know how many episodes she even filmed, though.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, think about it. Now, here's the thing. Kim can do a Keeping Up with Kardashians in 20 plus years and be successful. That's a very different world. That's somebody is telling you what to do. You're coming up with drama. There's fights. There's punching. There's cat fights. There's breakups. There's divorces. There's all this stuff. Obama, you could be a president. You get up, you got a nice teleprompter. You give a nice motivational speech. You can go out there and be a Meghan Markle and Prince Harry and be entitled and be annoying and be arrogant and be blaming your family, destroying a legacy, and just everything that no one with the right character would support one to do, and get all these eyeballs, $100 million on Netflix, opportunity where now they want money back and not even paying you the rest. But to be able to carry a podcast like Rogan has, every penny they invested into him, they've made back and more. There's a few people that know how to play this game. This isn't for everybody, and fame alone is not enough.
Can I tell you what Meghan Markle was doing?
What?
Your podcasts are intriguing because you care about the person you're interviewing.
Yeah.
She was having a sit-in, interview the person, and then she would then go redub the questions on her camera, so she was never there in front of the person she was talking to.
Get out of here.
That is exactly what she was doing.
No wonder why it failed. Well, look, you think
It's pretty wild.
For all the people out there, we're talking about famous people. Let me talk to the people that are trying to think about starting their own podcast or starting their own podcast. You think this is easy? You think you just get some microphones and start talking and voila, you have 1 million subscribers? Breaking news. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Speaking of everyone would do it, I believe that podcasting is the new .com of the 2000s or cryptos of the 2010s or NFTs of 2 years ago, and now everyone's jumping on board. What's the story back in the day when it comes to investing? It's like buy the rumors, sell the news. Podcasts are in the news, buddy.
Yep.
Time to sell. And you have no idea how many people I speak to are like, I'm thinking about starting a podcast, and I do everything I can to talk them out of it. I'm like, oh yeah? What are you going to do when you're doing it for a year and you have 12 subscribers?
Right.
Or you spend 4 hours doing a video and you get 100 views. Yep. At what point you're going to be like, dude, this ain't worth it? It ain't worth it out there for most people. You talked about famous people who have...
But I will say something there, just to challenge you a little bit on that. So it depends on what the outcome is. Meaning, I think everybody should consider starting a podcast, okay? But what's the outcome? For example, watch what I'm saying here to you. Guy calls me, says, hey, Pat, if you give us $1 million per year, we'll do a podcast with you. I'm like, okay, you ever done that before? No, but I have a lot of juicy stories. Okay, how many? 1, 2? No, I got 50. Okay, but what are you doing it for? Is it just for money? I think we can get a lot of money. We're seeing what's going on with podcasting. That's a risk. I had a call with a guy yesterday, a 15-minute Minek with a guy yesterday, asking me questions. So he goes to Minek.com, and on there you get 450 Mineks. A bunch of people are asking questions about dating, all this stuff. You get Mineks. People want to ask you about comedy, all these things.
Charisma.
Tom, they do Minek with you all the time on business advice, raising money. And Rob, if you can put the link below to Minek to go download the app, it's available on Google and Apple and all over the place. Anyways, so he asked me a question. He says, hey, Pat, what I want to do is I got this podcast, and I've been doing, plumbing for this many years, and, we're blowing up in the plumbing business and the construction business. We're selling companies for $200 million. We're doing successful, super successful guy. But I'm willing to bring my podcast to you. So I'm like, really, what's the name of your podcast? I go online, 29 views, 26 views,
great.
32
correct,
views.
man.
For $1 million.
views.
For $1 million bucks.
No. But the way he said it, like, I'm willing to bring the podcast to you.
Yeah.
Like, you should be lucky.
That's the wrong approach. Why is that the wrong approach? Your first thing you got to do it because you want to do it. Number 2, don't do it because you want to make money, because it's very hard. If you do it just because you want to make money, it's going to take a lot of years for you to make money with it. But do it because you want to do it. Even if it's once a month, you start with once a week, you do something like that. Then, once you have a proof of concept that you're winning out there, then we'll find you. Like when Vinny first reached out to me, I'm like, remember one time I was sitting there showing you Vinny videos way before
It was
Vinny
the baseball one.
Yeah, I'm showing Vinny videos. I'm like, this freaking guy is so funny. It wasn't baseball. It was, so we're going to go out there to Vinny DeLucci. So, hey, what's going on out there? And I was like,
the
who
mafia
is this? The mafia stuff, right? Kayvon. I watch Kayvon's videos on the skits he's doing. And, I come back from Harvard. I'm like, Tom, you got to start doing a show for Case Study. We didn't do it because Tom's going to make money. I talked to him like, dude, you got to get on camera. I don't know what you're going to be doing, but you got to do something. You didn't want to do any of
That
this
was
stuff.
in 2016.
That was in 2016.
Yeah.
But that's the right way to get into it because there's a love of the game. If you got love of the game, you're going to, some people, and by the way, online, they're freaking brutal. They'll tell you, what an idiot. Oh, he's so full of himself. Oh, look at you. He thinks he's funny. Look how ugly he is. Look at his this. Look at it. They're not going to hold back of making fun of you. So for me, I say, do it if you're doing it for the right reasons. Don't do it if you want to get rich.
I will say this, just to kind of counterbalance what you're
Sure.
saying. Well, number one, nobody makes mean comments online. Everyone's the
No, they
nicest.
love you.
Especially to you.
I'm pretty sure right
Thank
now
you guys
they are
for all the
loving you
love.
right now.
Oh,
People
100%.
love you, Adam.
You talk about, all right, you want to get a podcast, you want to tell your
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
You know who cares about your story, guy who wants to start a podcast? Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares about you. Nobody wants to hear your story unless you're providing value to them.
Yeah.
If you're doing it because you actually want to make a difference, because you actually want to give back, because you have empathy and
Yeah.
authority, that's a big difference. I didn't start podcasting until I made my money. And I was like, yeah, I'll do this. And I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because I made my money. And now there's something more that I want to do with my life and give back. So if you're doing this because you think you want to start a career, you're doing it the other way around. Make your money, have some authority, do something in business, do something in life.
Great counsel.
Have a comedic background, make a name for yourself, and then start podcasting.
Tom.
There's actually a story behind the story here on Spotify. And for those of you that have a business, they actually did two things I think were correct, but they made mistakes along the way. First thing is they go public in 2018, largely a music play, but they had real good success with premium. I paid for Spotify Premium. I thought it gave me more than Apple and Pandora and a good variety and everything. And after they went public, they decided, you know what? Music is a red ocean. At any time, Apple could move the price per song down to 52 cents. So we want to strategically do something. Look, podcasts are coming. Let's own it.
Rob, which stock is this? I can't tell you because
Spotify stock.
Okay,
This is
keep going,
Spotify.
Tom. Keep going.
And go to Max on that. We'll get to that in a second, if you would, please. So they take their money and they go out and they overpay. They paid $235 for Megaphone, $140 for Anchor, so that they bought these services so that they could serve and launch and syndicate podcasts. And then they did one thing right on talent, one thing wrong. You never overpay on exclusivity for an unproven talent. Never. So when they went out and got Rogan, smart. He already had a subscriber
That's
base.
right. He was already blown up on YouTube.
He was what's called a free agent, and they were what's called the Yankees, and they could make the check.
Well played,
Same
Tom.
thing
Thank you.
for Bill Simmons. You don't have to like Bill Simmons. He's a little liberal, but he had the Ringer. They went out and bought him. Later, 2021, they went out and bought Call Her Daddy out of free agency off of Barstool. But then they do these things thinking that, Kim, Meghan and Harry and Obama, completely unproven, and you throw money at them for exclusivity. Exclusive what?
Yeah.
Exclusive what? You're getting exclusive what? You're getting exclusive rookie. That's not the way to do it. And so now they've come back and said, it didn't work. We're redoing the contracts. We're cutting programming. And if you go take a look there over the last month and a half, the stock market, what did I say about layoffs? The market loves layoffs when they're truthful and it turns it into EBITDA. And take a look. They're bouncing back up. However, the interesting thing here, Spotify, since they've gone out in 2018, they are 8% more valuable than when they went out. And Pat, take a look at this. They go up in the top of 2021, that was music. And then they came down when they were suffering red ink losses because of all the stuff they did on podcasts. You see that? And now they say, you know what? We're going to get out of the podcast game.
Let me ask you a question. When was it when they were trying to cancel Rogan? Can you pull up the dates on when they tried to cancel Rogan?
I was 21, 22.
Okay, so I'm curious to know.
2020 was the buying spree on all this talent.
No, I get the buying spree, but when was it when they were trying to cancel him? So that's February 2022. When did people say we're going to remove our music and all that stuff? Is that around that time?
It was about a year ago.
Okay, go back to the stock.
Yeah, I would
go back to the stock. So if you go 20 February, no, it was already going down. So that's got nothing to do with it.
Can I comment on this graph right here? I think this graph is sort of synonymous with any tech savvy company. During COVID, everyone's isolated, social distancing, they're on their phones, they're in their homes. Everything blows up. I mean, Zoom stock, I think, would be look exactly like this, if not even worse.
Compare.
Higher. It's a higher peak.
Exactly. But so it's just you talk about fake success. A lot of fake success happened during COVID because the world completely changed. All the tech stuff, anything that allowed you to do anything, work from anywhere. Everything was great. Everything was up. Look, is this Zoom right here?
Zoom.
That's exactly what's going on.
So your point is
I'm just
this
saying
is
that
common with everything. So it's not Spotify dropped because of Spotify. They dropped because it was all tech.
Reversion to the mean.
Right.
Everything's going back to where it should be after the
$600 million loss
the
for
difference
6 months
is,
doesn't.
The difference is, good point. The difference is Zoom went down. They stayed down. Spotify is coming back up because they're making better strategies and better investments. They got a bump. Zoom has not had a bump yet, so we'll see what happens.
Zoom was like the equivalent of having a huge, massive one-hit song called COVID Love, and then boom, they never had a hit again.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.